This HOA Karen really thought she could control what I did on my own property. I had no idea plugging in my electric vehicle would set off a suburban storm. It started off simple. I'd finally gotten my EV after months of waiting lists and supply issues. I was proud of it. I wanted to do things the right way, so I called a licensed electrician, pulled all the necessary permits, and got my charging station installed. It was compact, sleek, mounted neatly on the side of my garage, barely noticeable unless you were going out of your way to look. And yet, someone was. 2 days later, I came home from work and saw a paper flapping in the wind, taped to my front door with what looked like packing tape. I pulled it off. Sure enough, it was a notice from the HOA. Not even a formal letter, just a passive-aggressive warning that my modification to the exterior appearance of the property was not submitted for approval. It warned that failure to comply could result in escalating fines and legal action. I read it 3 times. Legal action? For a car charger? I thought this had to be a misunderstanding, so I decided to call the HOA office. No one picked up. I emailed, no response. Then came her, Karen. The next day, just as I was plugging in my car, I heard footsteps marching up my driveway. She didn't introduce herself. She didn't ask questions. She came in hot, finger pointing, voice raised. "You can't just install whatever you want on a shared property," she snapped. "Ma'am, this isn't shared property," I said calmly. "This is my driveway, my garage wall. This is my home." "Well, it affects the neighborhood's aesthetics," she barked, pulling out a binder filled with HOA documents. She flipped to a highlighted section like a prosecutor building her case in court. "This clearly states that any external installations must be approved before they go up." She wanted me to take it down, not because it was dangerous, not because it violated any safety codes, just because she didn't like the way it looked. What she didn't know was, I had already done my homework. I had copies of the city's EV installation ordinance, signed inspection approvals, and even a note from the utility company confirming everything was within standards. I offered to show her, but she refused to look at them. Then came the best part. My porch camera was rolling. It caught the entire interaction. Her tone, her words, her threats, everything. I didn't post it, yet, but I saved it. Now here's where things escalated. Later that evening, I saw her across the street pacing with her phone, gesturing toward my house. At first I figured she was complaining to a friend or venting to someone in the HOA. But 15 minutes later, a patrol car pulled into our quiet little cul-de-sac. Flashing lights, slow roll, the whole drama. I stood on my lawn trying to stay calm. The officer walked up respectfully and asked if I was the homeowner. "Yes, officer. Everything okay?" "We received a call about a potentially unauthorized electrical installation," he said, glancing at the charger. I explained everything, step by step. The permits, the electrician, the approval from the city. I even offered to email him the documents. He looked it over, nodded, and said, "Looks like you've done everything by the book. Nothing here is a concern." Then he turned to Karen, who had been standing behind her hedge, watching like a hawk. "Ma'am," he said, "this is not a criminal matter. There's nothing illegal here." She went silent. That was the moment she realized the badge wasn't going to back her up. You'd think that would be the end of it, right? Nope. Karen wasn't done yet. When the law didn't work, she turned to what Karens do best, complaining louder. The next day, a letter went out from the HOA board stating that recent events have brought to attention the importance of maintaining neighborhood aesthetics and that a review of external fixture policies may be forthcoming. In other words, they were targeting me, subtly, but it was clear. What they didn't expect was the neighborhood's reaction. Turns out a lot of people had been watching. Some silently, some curiously. But now people started speaking up. I received a message on the HOA forum from a neighbor a few doors down. "Thank you for standing up to her. I've been wanting to install a solar panel but was afraid of the drama." Then another message, "And I'm thinking about going electric too. Can you share who installed your charger?" By the end of that week, 3 more homes had EV stations scheduled for installation. And guess what? None of them asked the HOA for permission because they learned they didn't legally have to. But I wasn't done yet. I compiled a simple PDF guide and posted it in the community Facebook group, Your Rights as a Homeowner, Installing an EV Charger In. It included permit steps, legal protections, and key wording from state legislation that protected homeowners from exactly this kind of HOA overreach. It got shared, a lot. That led to a wave of conversations, and eventually, a community meeting was called. Not officially by the HOA, but by the residents. For the first time, people started asking questions. Why were we being intimidated over upgrades that improved our homes and reduced our carbon footprint? Why were we still operating under 20-year-old aesthetic standards when the world had moved on? Karen didn't show up to the meeting, but her influence had clearly started to fade. Here's the kicker. 2 weeks later, I got another letter, but this time from the city. Not a warning, it was a thank you. They'd heard about the post I made and the resources I shared, and they wanted to highlight my story in their upcoming newsletter on sustainability initiatives. I couldn't stop smiling. So yeah, Karen tried to shut me down. She tried to intimidate me. She called the cops on me, embarrassed herself in front of the whole block, and now she can't even walk past my house without avoiding eye contact. And me? I still plug in my car every evening, right on the side of my garage exactly where it belongs. And now 4 other homes on the block have chargers too. Progress whether she likes it or not. If you're watching this and you've dealt with HOA drama, let me tell you, don't stay quiet. Don't let these self-appointed rule enforcers bully you into submission. Know your rights, do your research, get your permits, and document everything. Because Karens only win when people back down. Drop your stories in the comments. I want to hear every ridiculous HOA rule you've dealt with. And if you've got questions about EV installations or how to deal with neighborhood politics, I'll be replying down below. Hit like if you've ever had to deal with nonsense like this. Subscribe if you believe homeowners deserve basic freedom on their own property. And share this with someone you know who's dealing with an HOA headache. They might just need to hear this. And to Karen, if you're watching this, you picked the wrong driveway.